right? It's not like $150 million straight up. I won't disclose you the number, but the first raise of Polygon was not as much to make even this kind of an event happen. So that is when you understand that yes, I have to do something, turn back, do something, and make something work eventually. All right? That's where we understand. And the graph has a similar story. The graph started in 2018 to build a product because they understood its importance. And back and forth, and eventually we had a product, then we had a roadmap, and that's what we are going to discuss. So it's going to be a lot of fun. As I told you, I hope I've made the hype. Now you can start noting down things that you want. And always feel free to take the screenshots of slides. Although we are in the world of Web3, so I won't keep an IP on this, but this can be an NFT soon. As good as Board APIs Club maybe. Chalo. So why Web3, right? So as of now, I would ask you, what is the problem that NFTs solve that Web2 cannot? What is the problem that NFTs solve? The answer is nothing. It does not. Flipping NFTs, earning money from that is not a problem that's created. It's just a hype and a money baggage that you want to have. It's not a solution to a problem, right? Flipping NFTs is something that maybe some developed country people are doing and calling it okay, this is something which is building a narrative around it. The VCs of the world, what they do? They first of all raise money as LPs. The second thing that they do is basically invest in protocols, and then they have a theory on that protocol that why is it great. Okay, that's what 3AC, Three Arrow Capitals did. They bought GBTC, had a narrative on GBTC, despite not knowing what GBTC is, right? Never ever fall for narratives in life in Web3 because there are going to be hundreds of those in the VC world. They are earning money only to create narratives. You need to understand that what is the problem in Web2 that Web3 can solve. Flipping NFTs is not a problem in Web2 that Web3 solves. It's rather a new problem that's created in Web3. I'm not saying NFTs will not solve something, but I'm just giving you one example of that. But Web3 does solve real world problems. And these are the problems that really exist in Web2, and we need them. One specific example, since we don't have a lot of time, I want you to interact with me, is authentication. Right now, how do you do authentication? You need a Google account which can view everything from you. How can you have, if somebody doesn't use Google, then he cannot do authentication. He needs to have an email ID for everything, and that email ID is again from Google. How can you have a way to authenticate without being associated to a particular company? Is that possible in Web2? Again, not possible. And that's where the concept of public-private key comes in, wallet comes in, and with the wallet, you can have a login. That's why Web3 auth is such a big thing. Polygon ID is such a big thing because it gives you an identity of your own on the network. One more, again, very quickly. ENS, Ethereum Naming Service. Such an awesome protocol. DNS has lots of vulnerability. If today I go on, DNS database and I try to hack, I can get the Google domain on myself, and it would be okay, right? It's such a big problem in the Web2 world. They have tried to make it as secure as possible, but still not good enough. And that's where ENS comes in, and people understand why ENS is important. It started off not by having a funding of $150 million. It started off by having a Ethereum Foundation grant of $120K US dollars. Okay, if I pick handful of people today from the product that you have been building, what I have learned, you will be able to raise 120K, right? So that's what you have to have the right examples of building, right? That's where these kind of protocols come in. ENS, auth, cross governance, right? All these things incentivize public good. Just imagine if somebody could make the funding to make COVID, vaccines and those kind of things happen, then we would not be falling in this COVID trap and having all these trashes created. Why do we not have that? The answer to that is that it does not sponsor public goods. Why is that so? Why do we not sponsor public goods? Because there is no money that you can generate from public goods. But Ethereum provides you a way to serve public goods. It's like, creating a vaccine before the actual disease comes in. Fiverr, like all these like top, Madonna, all these top vaccination companies, they only make vaccines if that particular disease is something which is being happening to 10,000 1 crore people. Such big, can I use F words? I'll use it anyways. Such big F word people, right? What if a problem is small and it becomes big? How to publicly, fund that and make it happen? That's something that only Ethereum and Web3 can sponsor. Somebody was talking about open source, right? How do you fund open source? Linux is important, but the kind of development that Linux is going through is on a very sturdy stage. Now it's very cool with GSOC and everything, but still it's in a very sturdy stage. If it was funded with the initial fund, right, it would have been much, much bigger than Windows. But it simply didn't happen. Why? Because Windows was a funded company, while Linux was a public good. And that changes with Ethereum. Ethereum has sponsored ENS, and see how big is it. Ethereum has sponsored Auth, and see how big it is. Signing with Ethereum and things like that. So Web3 solves real problems. The only thing is, if you want to be big, you don't need marketing. You don't need, I would even say, go ahead and say, you don't need funding. You only need a purpose. You only need a problem that exists in Web2 that needs to be solved. And that's what Web3 is here for, guys. It's not here, it's not related to tokens. That people have come here and told me I'm going to launch a token soon. Dude, what's the product you're building? Does it even require a token? So basically, that's the major problem, right? And there is no problem, since you are Web3 maxis and understand Web3, there is no problem in calling shit. You can go ahead and say that this is a cash grab. This is some shit token that will exist and eventually fall down. There is no absolute problem in doing that. That's why even Vitalik says that maximalism is important. And there is only one network in the world which introduces maximalism in itself, and that's Bitcoin. That's the only one which is apolitical in nature. Today, like US has an agenda, right? They want to incentivize all the people against Russia. So they are building these SWIFT systems and stuff like that. They just have an agenda. They don't have the same thing for Sri Lanka. They give two shits to Afghanistan and stuff like that. But they want to build for Ukraine. Why? I don't know, maybe the color, but I don't know, right? It's just something that I'm putting it out there. But what I'm trying to tell you is that they SWIFT and all the Web2 that exists is political. Bitcoin is the only one which is apolitical. People might have told you that Ukraine has raised $10 million in for funding their war, but some people might also know that Russia got $2.2 million in BTC just to fund their war as well. That's the kind of apolitical nature that BTC has. It is solving a purpose. Always, if your product does not have a purpose, it will not go for long term. So, the myth Web3 solves a problem is true. It does solve a problem. It's not something which is only Gen Z's thing. And it's not something that even some governments of the world say that it's a speculative asset. No, dude, that's not the case. It is actually something to solve a problem that exists in the real world. It is solving the real problem. Alright, if that's clear, any questions up till now? I'll not take it right now, sorry. I'm just kidding. No, sorry, I won't take it. So anyways, moving forward, I'm good with jokes because I do stand-up comedy part-time. I'm just trying that right now. Let's see. So why work for Web3? Second biggest thing, you guys are all here, right, at this awesome, beautiful, fancy hotel, right? I would say yes, fancy. So why work for Web3? It has a lot of money. Is that the reason? If that is the reason, then eventually it will not, right? Why work for Web3? Simple reason, impact, right? As I told you the first thing, again I won't repeat. It impacts what steam engine did in 1950s. It impacts what surgery and anesthesia did in 1970s when it was created. That's the kind of impact that Web3 has. So, never work for money, work for impact. Just look at somebody who created life on Mars. The kind of impact he will have. Just look at somebody who created electric cars, the kind of impact he'll have. If not more, Web3 has at least that kind of impact. So that gives you a reason to do that. Second thing, ownership. I've been working for the graph. I used to work for Polygon before that. Some of you guys are gonna have your own startups. I wish you all the luck. And some of you will work for certain kind of published and populated protocols. And there is nothing in the world which gives you more ownership. These kind of teams are so distributed that it's like you take a job and you complete it. Ownership economy. That's what's being perpetuated via these protocols and companies. You never get acquired or acquire in the Web3 world. The graph has core devs. The graph has not acquired streaming fast. The graph has core devs which contribute to it. It's not like the graph CEO who sits and says that, okay, your team, we have given you $150 million, this is what you need to do. No. It's rather like, what do you think is the solution to the purpose that we are trying to solve? Right? So the second biggest thing that you should work for always after impact is ownership. And I love that if I'm given something by my organization, it's never that there is micromanagement, or it's never that I have to keep on being pinged or write some forms and surveys that how was my performance. No, nothing. If you do something and publish it live, you will see the impact right there. Oh shit, it failed. Some of the people are having these problems, right? And that's okay, right? I think we commit to GraphNode every third day. We commit to hosted service every single day. In fact, Krishna, how are you? Where are you? Is it chalega kya? So Krishna, my other partner who came here, just committed to hosted service just 10 minutes ago. Why did he do that? It's like, that's the kind of thing. How many people can say that we have worked at Google and our code is live in production? Very less, I would say, right? So if you want to skip the pipeline and have that hustle culture built for you, if you really like the ownership economy in which you are never micromanaged, you need to join Web3. And the last thing, it solves the problems that have existed since 1950s. Zero knowledge is not today's question or problem. Zero knowledge existed, snarks existed before even I think Bitcoin existed. But the real first implementation of zero knowledge in real world was, anybody? Speak up, this is your opportunity. Sorry? In crypto world, it's correct. That's what it is. It is bringing zero knowledge to the real life. The problem that existed since long, only Web3 is able to solve it. Just imagine the kind of money that people in Web3 have been putting to research to get something out of it. What we do in Web2 startups in India, we see, okay, this delivery thing is working in US, let's rebrand it and make it work in India. Is that something that you would want to work for? Most of the engineers do want to work for that. That's so shitty, right? Something works in that particular place, it will work in India. It's just that they have some things that it cannot come to India, so it'll work for this, and we become a multi-million-dollar company. What's the problem have you solved, man? But this is something that could be done by anybody. What's the question of problem that you have solved to make people's life better? Right? Building a copycat project, is that the reason? No. It's rather doing a discovery. It's rather discovering research to actually make something work. And that's Web3 for you guys. It's more research implementations, right? Not the research paper that your college professors might have written in Indian schools. It's rather a real research which needs implementation. And that's what is Web3 here for. So I think, again, hope you guys are fairly inspired to be a Web3 person, right? If not, then good, have fun in the ball. By the way, I'll be here tonight, and if you want to have a live coding session, creating a subgraph or something like that, after 8, I'm available. We can all sit in a group and create subgraphs, right? What is a subgraph, what the graph is all about, how you can create a subgraph. I would love to do something like that. But again, I know you guys are trained, no compulsion. If you want, we can have a peer group and do that. Only possible in Web3. Otherwise, the executives of Web2 are sitting in these, 5-star hotels and doing stuff in private jets. So that's how to work for Web3. Next, and the single most important thing, I guess, after all the philosophy for you guys. So, as I told you, 2017 strategy, that built or that got a lot of wrong name for protocols built in the Web3 space. Have a white paper, vanish, raise tokens, raise money, vanish, and after 3 years, oh, we had a protocol or a product. That's never how you have to build for Web3. That's not how it's done. There are so many, I can give you, not even I can count by hands, which are Indian startups that started in 2017. And they built something like, saying that we will have 5 consensus mechanism working together. Ethereum works on 1 and still we are trying to push for merge, right? When merge, very famous quotation. And that particular white startup was like, we'll work on 5 consensus mechanisms, make it work. Raised $1 million, 7 crore rupees. Nothing. No, nobody knows where they are, right? That's not how you build in Web3. So basically, again, this is a problem that you guys also do in your day-to-day, and I know that you're doing it right now. Very specifically, you believe that, okay, this is what I want to do, right? And then you keep on doing that, and you feel like it will be built. It's never like that in research-oriented spaces, guys. It's always like you try something, it works, then you go ahead. If it does not, then you roll back and work again. That's what it means to research for Web3. Just imagine somebody came to know about wheels and he directly created a car. That will never happen. It is always like, first of all, you have a round structure that is known as wheel. You create a cycle out of which actually eventually perpetuates into a final product. That is true for Web2, but again, since we are just copy-pasting people, we don't do any innovation. But in Web3, it's an innovation, research-specific thing. Why do you think so many L1s today are coming? L1s are layer 1. I just hope you understand L1s. Why do you think so many L1s in this current space are coming? Every second day there is a L1. Why? Why people are launching so many L1s? Anybody can answer? Stand up and answer.
Because the underlying chains are not addressing the problem and L1s try to solve it.
So that's one way to say it. But I would rather tell that Geth already exists as a client. If you want to run an L1, just sit for me for 2 hours and it is going to be live. Right? It's a best, many L1s are doing great job, but it's the best money grab right now in Web3. It's like, just have the code base copied of Geth, make some 5-6 nodes run on Amazon AWS, DigitalOcean, 3-4 more cloud places, and yeah, we are decentralized. Yeah, let's raise. That's why, I'm again very sorry, but that's why, again, that's why L1s, so many L1s are coming, right? Because it's already truth. Geth, the repository of Geth took about 3 years to actually come into production, like really live and working, and still it has its own problems of archive nodes and whatnot. But for an L1, it's like 5 nodes, 1 person communicating everything and it's live. Again, wrong, totally wrong, right? If you want to build something impactful, you will first have to do something, iterate on it, come back, make change, and then work. Simple example, again from Polygon. Polygon first of all launched a plasma chain, right? Anybody knows what's plasma? See? So, Matic network at that time, which it was known while I was to work there, it launched a plasma chain to scale Ethereum, while Ethereum said that we can scale ourselves. Then what happened is that, okay, Plasma has its own problems, we need to take a step back